But this is just live, so whenever you're ready to record, I'll hit the record button on the
Let's go.
on the audio.
I'm ready. Let's do this. Let's do it to it.
Wait, what?
Here we are.
Okay. Boom, boom. All right.
Cool. Share from the page. Share from this motherfucking page.
How do I know if it's recording?
Check. That I don't know. It's your equipment. That I do not know.
Oh.
There we are.
Microphone check 1 2 1 2 1 2. Does this mean that it's recording? Seems like this means that it's recording, so I'm gonna press stop and see if we can get some playback or something.
Actually, doesn't look too bad, dude. I like it.
I have no idea what this means. Does this mean that it's recording?
Ooh.
Seems like this means that it's recording, so I'm gonna press stop and see if we can. You heard that?
Yep.
Okay.
Do you have a name for your stuff or no? Trent Knox Show still?
Yeah, Trent Knox Show. Oh, are you changing the title?
I'm just Common Chaos along with Trent Knox Show.
Okay, yeah, I forgot to change any of the titles. Here, type it in here, and then press enter, so that it goes to all of it. So, for those of you watching live out there, just setting up the podcast, and then we will do the official show, and then some of this will stay up, and then you'll have the not the Brian Kern show, the Common Chaos
Show. What are you talking about? I didn't hit go yet. I just want to make sure that's cool with you.
Yeah.
Check.
And then
Knives is already in. Thanks,
Knives is there?
buddy.
It's good to go. Alright, and there you are. It's your show.
We're here.
Mm-hmm.
We're in this. What's up, man? Even though we were
So
just
much
talking about a bunch of stuff. So what do you... Okay. So are you trying to work on other shows and produce other shows? Is that really what you're trying to do? Because it seems like you're in the business for it. You got the camera. You got all the equipment.
Yeah. So
what you have been doing.
So since I guess April, when I was doing deliveries, so Postmates,
Right.
Instacart, all of that jazz. I was about to do Uber. I think I just, I did this podcast kind of recapping my own year, but I'll do it short here. Is that I just, the money wasn't there. Like, I was spending more money, and I was taking home just a little bit, and I might as well have just stayed at home and tried to figure out what I want to do with my life.
Right.
So what I ended up doing was looking and reaching out to different people about different opportunities, and I did some things, and then I really found a home at podcast producing, live stream producing. And you and I had talked about it back when you and I were both together at Austin Live and Local, but we kind of just dissolved it in certain ways, that we needed something bigger, like something that kind of was specific to how we were going to make money doing things. Right. So we tossed around a lot of ideas, but I still, I tried to make Cyber City Media the thing, but the issue was that I didn't know business. I didn't go to school for business. So I had to basically learn things, and I don't know, when you and I first met, if I had any idea what business was. Like, I didn't know why people were in the roles that they were in, why they had titles that they had titles, and even if they were just for ceremony prop reasons, then I had no idea. So I don't know if you suggested Gary Vee to me, or if it just came up in conversation because I stumbled across it in YouTube, or for what reason at all. But I started listening to Gary Vee maybe 2018. I don't remember, but it kind of started changing my mindset in certain ways. And I'm going to get this off the table. And so that led me to think, okay, so what does it mean to own a business? What determines, how do other people recognize you as having a business? It started off with you and I going to get documents at the courthouse to be like, okay, we're in business, we're going to be opening a bank
just
account.
Having the paperwork
just
makes
having
us
the
a
paperwork.
business
Right.
and whatnot, right?
Right. Well, it does, but there's so many different regulations out there, and this is one of the things that I'm starting to learn from other people's businesses, that if you're in the industry that is service-based and that it may or may not have a harming effect to other people, they start regulating you and telling you what you can and cannot do. So in business, you need a license to do business.
Right.
That's why there are business licenses. I didn't have that. So it's only recently that I went out and got my business license to conduct business in the state of Texas.
Now, does that entail like any type of business? You can go and open up a bakery if you wanted to. You could fucking...
No.
Okay,
no,
so
it is... Well, yes, because my business is a holding company now. So it can hold multiple businesses, and then you can have doing business as a DBA in that particular business.
Right.
Or industry or whatever. But there's just so many things, and people, I wouldn't call them mentors, but they were influencers in my life. Arash was an influencer, Robert's an influencer, Gary Vee's an influencer, certain people in businesses, Saeed, the guy who owned that, the esports place, Peter, Brian,
Yep.
They're just all these different people who have kind of not necessarily done the right thing, but have shown me that there's something that you need to do.
Right.
Like you need to do it in different ways in order to execute it. I don't really have a mentor. There's not that one person that I go to and be like, hey, I need help on this business and you're successful, you're doing it the right way, let's get it going, right? So the original question, it is a long answer, is that what I'm doing now is podcast producing, but it's much more than just that.
Okay.
It's new media business management, which is more than podcasting. It'd be live streaming, and there's a terminology for what we're currently doing called, and this is where regulation comes in, is there's the university, there's the theologian side of what I do, and then there's the government side. So the government calls it video streaming.
Okay.
But the universities call it vodcasting.
Vodcasting.
So there's a discrepancy.
Why is there a separation in terms, and why is...
Because of the FCC.
Okay.
So when the FCC starts to regulate what we can and can't say on a microphone, the terminology has to be ubiquitously understood.
Right.
So if they say vodcasting, and I just decide today I'm doing video casting or video streaming, then that particular law does not apply to me. So these sorts of regulations have to be to the T.
Right.
I was just watching the new movie that came out on Amazon Prime, the Report, which was about the torture mechanisms used on Afghanis during and after 9/11,
Yeah.
and how the CIA, they falsified documents because torture is against the UN, against the Geneva Convention.
Right.
But the oversight that they did, they wanted to continue saying that waterboarding
Right.
was effective mechanism
For interrogation and shit,
interrogations,
yeah.
EITs. Yeah. So there's just so much that I think a lot of people don't realize goes into owning a business, because in America, they want to tell you that everyone has a fair shot. But it's not that way. If you come from the hood, or you come from a lower economic background, and you discover something, in some ways you have to be quiet about it, because if you're too loud, then
quiet in what way? Like, quiet about what, I guess?
Quiet about your invention, your idea. Because if you're too loud, the establishment can decide that they can regulate you to where what you do isn't competitive against them.
It's interesting. Do you feel that you're in that spot? Do you feel that you're in a spot where you kind of have to be quiet about what you're doing? Because I feel like if it's evolving the way it is...
What I'm doing?
Well, I mean, just in general. Like, I was unaware of that. So you just enlightened me on the fact that there's now regulation in terms of how you can do video streaming or vodcasting, whatever, I guess, right? And so if there's going to be regulations independently to both, but the act of what we're doing, communicating, whether it be on a podcast, on a web video, whatever it may be, that in itself is already kind of regulated, right? That's why they have different sections and different areas to kind of categorize it. So if there's already that type of regulation, and you find yourself in like one of those mediums, do you feel that you have to, like you were saying, do you have to be quiet about something that you're doing? Is there a disadvantage to going to one category versus the other, trying to cross, what is the, why do you feel that there's a need to maybe stay silent or stay hushed when you are coming up with something?
So there's a lot to this, because regulation in regards to video, just plain video on demand, it hasn't seen its effects in the government until this year.
Okay.
The FCC,
can you give me an example?
The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, determined with the New York Attorney General that any video posted to the internet has to be defined as for kids or not for kids.
Okay.
So that
kind of like a movie rating, PG, PG-13. Like you kind of have to rate it of who's eligible to watch it.
This is more in regards to advertising. So if your video isn't commercially viable for the platform, let's say YouTube, they can demonetize, but they also can shut your channel down. So
did you see the video of the guy saying all the words that get you demonetized on YouTube? Did you watch that?
I didn't see it, no.
He's like fucktard. He's just saying all the different words that you would say that, I guess, because
that's probably bullshit, to be honest. Whatever he said is probably bullshit.
I mean, isn't that something though that is happening kind of at a, you said that they just made this distinction between the two, video on demand or vodcasting.
Well, they haven't made the distinction. There is distinction. There's language.
Recently, right? Recently.
No. I mean, there's no laws.
Right, but you're saying that they're now using the language to make the distinctions recently. You said recently.
Potentially.
Yeah. So, don't you think that that's just coinciding with...
I may be the one making the distinctions. But okay. I mean, I may be bringing light to that there is distinctions. Yeah.
Do you think that that's just the nature of the business? Since I feel like that's been the last couple of years with social media in general. And when I say social media, I want to include. I mean, I guess you can even just broaden it and say the internet, but you do have companies like YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and all these other companies, Facebook obviously owning Instagram and WhatsApp. You have all these regulations being pushed towards these bigger companies. We have the whole, China doing their own thing with the companies, and how the companies are kind of just handing things over to other countries, and it's so different in so many different areas.
You're making a good point at.
Isn't this going to evolve with all that?
The thing that you're making a good point at is right now the government doesn't regulate. Companies regulate. So the thing is Facebook...
Hence why they're going into Congress and in front of the Senate and doing these testimonies, because the government does want regulation.
The government wants
They're going to want
the
help
regulators.
run Facebook.
Yes.
I mean, there needs to be regulation. Somebody's got to regulate something.
So that's the thing.
I'm not saying censor everybody. I'm saying, but if you want something to be if you want it to grow and grow in a way that's not going to be the Wild West, there has to be regulation. Or in 10 years, everybody could just be fucking dick picking everybody. That's why, laws get passed for dick pics. Like, who would have thought 10 years ago a fucking cell phone picture of your dick, sending it to somebody could be like a crime, but now it is because times change and people are getting bombarded.
So I'm on the side of let it ride.
Wild West style?
No, I'm saying let it ride. I think that, okay, so this is where like we start getting into why church and state are separated. Mm-hmm. So in America, everything should be on the side of let it ride. But
when you say let it ride,
means like if you can think of it, it should be good unless it harms someone. So that was like unless they die because of it. I don't think anybody's dying based off of freedom of speech. Mm-hmm. Like I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. Jamal Khashoggi. I don't want to get off topic, but go on.
So, no, I don't know the particular thing you're talking about, but we can elaborate on it. So companies, or at least platforms right now, like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, mm-hmm. they are finding themselves in between two different places, where they're either a publisher or they're a platform.
Right.
If they're a platform, they should let everything ride. If they're a publisher, then they determine who they put on the platform, but the laws change because then they get regulated in different ways. Now, there's a baseline regulation of the internet, which is like why people were uproar about what was it? What was the big thing about a year ago where
like people being banned or
about the internet? It was
what was the big thing?
Throttling was the big thing that people were talking about.
I mean, I know throttling from like the cell phone perspective.
Yeah, but there's like signs like stop this or oh god, I can't remember the terminology right now. I'm blanking.
It's all good. So why did you feel that this was a viable option for you to get involved in? You're obviously, I mean, you went to school for media, like you're in this world.
So there you are.
You're pretty submerged into it. So what? You're finding out all these different distinctions. You're finding out how the world is kind of adapting this new media, as you call it. What made you want to just dive into it? What made you want to kind of say, hey, that is what I want to be a part of? Seeing that it is just kind of becoming this over-evolving whatever, this mess.
So a lot of people think they can do it on their own. Okay. A lot of people do.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
And to like a certain degree, if you're subsidizing it in some other way, yeah. But if you're a small business owner, or if you're a corporation, you just can't do it. Mm-hmm. You can't get to scale on by yourself. There's no way, because you need somebody to advise you on what's going wrong in your business, because you might not even notice it, or anybody might just not be privy to that.
So
like Twitch, for instance, you probably don't know what's going on there.
No idea.
But your potential biggest audience may be on Twitch.
So are you trying to be that mind for people? Are you trying to say, hey, I see what you're trying to do from the media perspective, the new media perspective, the podcasting, the editing, the production? Mm-hmm. Are you trying to be that person for people? Are you trying to be that solution? Hey, I will figure out where this falls. This falls under vodcasting, and here's why you can do it, and here's why you can't do it, and here's where you're going to be successful.
I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not giving any legal advice. I'm just saying, from my perspective, this is where it's at. When it comes to executables, I do believe that right now what I'm doing at this moment, not in this moment, I am helping in a certain way, but what I'm doing for my clients, the people that pay me money that I'm earning from, I am facilitating that kind of advisory management sort of place. That's where I am currently. Okay. How I got there was because I wanted it for myself. Right. I wanted to be able to be on social media. I wanted to, play with the toys. I wanted to do this big boy game, play the big boy game. This is the big boy game. And, and it's becoming not just a big boy game, but 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds making money, doing everything. Right. Everybody's playing the game. And I'm not the best at it. I'm getting 70%. I'm shooting 70% from the free throw line. Right. There's people shooting 100%. Not missing a single shot. But I feel like, in this area, I can't even put on my hand how many people were able to do this.
I will say you went when we first started doing this, or at least Austin Live
when we
Local,
started doing it, yeah.
You were a webcam and some fucking cheesy mics, and now you got a big rig. You got it all set up. You're coming in with your Pro Tool, not Pro Tools, the actual program, but you're coming in with your professional tools and your professional, so you're obviously doing something right. But do you feel like you're prepared? Do you feel like is this what you got into it for? Is this why you went out and got the business license and decided, hey, this is the route I want to take? Or are you just are you still trying to do your own thing and
so it's interesting
process finding opportunities to help people?
So it's interesting when you say that, because when I start talking to clients, a lot of clients want to be in a position where they feel powerful, meaning that they know what I'm talking about. Right. But 9 times out of 10, they don't have a clue. You know what I mean? They may know a certain word or something like that, but they don't actually know how to do it. So when they come to me and I start working with them, I'm one of those people that you tell me that it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Like, it's going to happen. Like, we've been talking about this 3-hour podcast for a long time. It just wasn't. We weren't there. There's reason why I keep telling people things are delayed, because the tech's not there, the education's not there. It's difficult. I'm doing my best as a man of the people, or whatever you want to call it, to make it easier for other people to be like me, or be like Brian, or be like anyone they want to be like. Find their mentor, or find their passion, their calling. And in the digital world, right, and in the physical world as well. But again, the regulations on the physical world is crazy. So in some ways, I am limited on who I can and can't help, based off of whether my educational background or the government regulations. Like, it does get to a point where you have to look at it like, some people you can't help. You just can't help them. They're just, and unless they make, real changes on their own life,
Yeah. So what are you working on right now that's exciting? Like, I know you're working with Robert still.
Robert Gardner Wellness, massage therapist, massage educator. The stuff that he's been doing is like, it's one thing that I like about it is he's got a big store, right? Like, online, his platform is bigger than anyone that I know, as far as like what's available to sell and what can be bought. That's a big thing. Is like, everyone thinks they've got something to sell, but do you really? Can someone buy it? Right. Like, physically, can someone execute on their life and buy that product?
Right.
They talk about, I've got this service, all these things, but nobody knows how to buy it from them. They can't go to Shopify. They can't go to these places. And the one thing about Robert is
it's everywhere.
It's there. Yeah. And and I get to go in and I get to test selling these things. That's the good thing. The other thing is, with the networking that I have done, the esports world has started to open up in certain ways.
Booming, dude. That one place I was telling you, next to the gym, to my gym.
You'll have to show me.
It's called, we'll go. When we go to lunch, I'll drive you by it. It's not even open yet, but and then there's another spot up at my work in Cedar Park.
Yeah. So you want to talk about things that no one knows about. That's one of the things. Even the people who are in the business, they don't all know what they're doing, because they're 12 years old. They don't know what's going on. They don't know if they should sign this contract or do this brand deal or whatever, because their parents don't know. This is first generation.
Like a Macaulay Culkin situation when you fucking got the young child star and it ruins your life.
But before Macaulay Culkin, there were 6 generations of children doing that. Now we're coming on the end of the decade. We're seeing the first generation finish. Right. Of esports athletes.
Yeah, people are retiring. Esports athletes are retiring.
Yes. And so, and to be honest, I wouldn't even call it really a generation. Those are people that was the beta group. That's the test. we're about to see who's worth what. You know what I mean? If Ninja's the first one to even,
and he's being mentioned on like mainstream. I mean, he was mentioned on Rogan. He's mentioned on all these mainstream platforms. You have Dr. Disrespect being mentioned quite a bit too, probably more for his controversy than for his actual, whatever. But do you think that it's always going to, I feel that it's even still fringe kind of esports. I know that we did DreamHack, and it's got a big, foothold on things.
I think that, you're the only reason why we're having the conversation is because I brought you with me into the world. Most people wouldn't be able to name those two people.
Right. Do you think that it's going to kind of stay that way on the like, you look at pro, I mean, cuz Dota, and I have this conversation with a couple people, because I do have some friends, particularly Brandon. You remember Brandon? He was on my podcast a while back. We did it down south at the studios. But,
I think I remember listening to that.
So he's you were there, but he's
oh yeah, Brandon.
Yeah. He's big into it, and he is, that's something that he's so involved with, and something that he's kind of he has this idea that it's it's been around forever, and he always goes to Dota, or like the old school computer games that have had $1 million tournaments for the last 10 years or whatever they may be. We did StarCraft, remember when we did the DreamHack, and we learned all about that documentary and how deep that was. It's been there. Yeah, it's got a little bit more, it's in the limelight a little bit more. Obviously, internet, everything's going to be pushing in kind of front of people's pages, algorithm, it's going to pop up more and more. But is it ever going to break? Like, are we ever going to have a televised, and I know it's on some networks, game show networks, shit like that, but are we going to ever have a World Series?
A regular season?
Size spectacle with it? Or is it just going to be something that's always kind of on the fringe, that's going to, everybody that's involved is going to make their money, but there's also going to be that, like, tennis, like, or bowling. Bowling's a good example. The top bowler, in the world makes what, maybe $100,000 a year if he's like lucky, and are we ever going to see it break out of that realm? I mean, I guess in a way it's already kind of bigger, but it's not ever going to be mainstream sports size, is it? Or do you see that that's just that's the route it's going to take? It will eventually be
here's something that
real sports size.
And I I'm trying to bring conspiracy into this podcast at some point. So I'm learning a new definition to the statement New World Order.
Okay.
In that the New World Order wasn't like, it's not what you think it is.
Not Illuminati, not the elitists, not...
No, I think it's everyone. The whole concept, think of back in history what New World was.
Yeah.
So the
industrial era, the new way of doing
thing
things
that people are thinking about is the New World chaos. Right. You know what I mean? It just plays into this.
No pun, yeah.
Yeah. But the New Order is the regulation, the validation, the verification. Are you who you are? Are you what you can say you're doing? Like when you walk out, Orwellian, all this stuff going on, right? Somewhat it can go down the wrong path where people get priced out. They can't play the game because they don't have the education. They don't have the initiative. They don't have the mindset to play by the rules or find where the rules don't fit what they're doing and then succeed. And then there's a lot of people who live in the fringes. So that means that they go as far as they can, and then they know the limit to where they get too exposed. Right. To where people are like, hey man, probably should, we probably should stop them from being successful or whatever, throw them in jail, whatever it may be, to kind of slow it down. But in some ways, you end up getting your Jordan Belforts of the world who, throw them in jail. They're still going to come out,
sell you a pen and be fucking good to go.
Out of it, ready to go.
I just listened to an interview with him, actually. It was fucking... a little much, yeah.
You like him?
I mean, I like the story. I think that it was a pretty good podcast. We both listened to it actually on the way to Houston.
Really?
And he's. I get what you're saying. I don't know. We don't have to get off subject with that, but I get what you're saying, and it's. So wind that back to the esports. Do you feel it's gonna?
So I'm gonna have to turn my mic up a little bit.
You're good.
I think that esports, your question is, should esports be validated in the old world media? Like ABC,
not even
NBC.
validated, but with you're talking about the New World Order, and as we all go into like this, I mean, it's.
Well, I see that being Facebook, YouTube.
It is, and this whole, and as we were speaking to a second ago, there's not even regulations in place for that as of yet. They're starting. There's definitely like trying to put in the regulations where they can. Esports kind of lives in that realm, right? How is esports really going to take off if Twitch can't take off, if other platforms can't take off, and if there can't be this if there is going to be a stronghold and they're going to emplace it now, where's all these things going to take off to? Or is the New World Order, as you put it, going to be structured so these things can take off? Or is it going to be structured so, in 10 years, we're not getting our news from MSNBC, from cable companies, we're getting it from YouTube, we're getting it from Twitch, we're getting it from people. If you want to hear a journalist that you really trust and that you really like to follow, instead of going to the newspaper that they're featured in, or instead of going to Rolling Stone where they're featured, are you going to have to jump on YouTube? Are you going to have to jump on Twitch? Are you going to have to jump on these new regulated channels in order to kind of break through that membrane? Same with esports. Esports' biggest platform right now is Twitch, is it not? Or I mean, is YouTube in any comparison with Twitch as far as streaming and being successful and getting people money?
As far as streaming,
esports though. Esports. Let's take it to the esports thing, because obviously YouTube. Stream. Really? Bigger than Twitch?
Gaming is YouTube is the largest platform as far as any video platform.
I see that, but for esports too, for having that,
for gaming.
Wow, I didn't know that. See, I would have said Twitch.
Not for esports,
because that's just what I'm familiar with. But
so
then there you go. And then so how's esports in the mainstream going to be regulated? How's esports in the future going to be regulated?
This is how it's
probably through regulated. YouTube in a way, right? Probably through the platforms in which it's presented. If you want to watch football, you tune on Fox. You know, because it's going to be on Sunday. You're going to get 4 games in a row, right?
Well, this is the thing. Like every TVs nowadays come. This is when we start getting into the technologies portion of it. Is that will your TV be integrated with that platform or that publisher if they determine that they're publishers? So will your TV have YouTube? It also have Facebook, or will it just have YouTube? Like, what is it going to have? And then whoever's mass producing the televisions for that particular thing, then that's where, you find yourself. And it's just so, it's, NBC isn't making TVs. You know what I mean? Right. Comcast is there making cable boxes, but those are modular things with the television.
Right.
So it's if these companies start developing their own, like, all-in-ones, that's the thing. Like, if it's all-in-one, then maybe you'll see one platform succeed over the other. Like, Facebook talked about actually making televisions. But that never... Well, I haven't seen a Facebook television. They're starting the Portal.
I know they wanted to do cryptocurrency for a minute.
Libra, still coming out. But the Portal is like a Google Chrome or like anything like that. YouTube or Google made televisions. They're called Android, or they're called, I think they're called Android televisions. Really? So some TVs have Android built into them.
Okay.
But it's on the fringe, like, really, like, unless you know.
Right.
Like, and then there's also Roku TVs everywhere. So if NBC decides to buy Roku, then we're talking about it.
I mean, I was just using NBC as like that's where you go for your news now. But
you didn't even say. I said NBC. So I'm using NBC as an example, or ABC being Disney. Disney is now Disney Plus. So potentially we might see, an emergence of esports on Disney Plus. Their DreamHack Dallas at least did, work with Disney Plus.
In what way? What did they do?
Jeff Goldblum did his TV show at DreamHack.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah,
dude, I love Jeff Goldblum.
He was there, and unfortunately, you weren't able to go.
How was it? Oh, that's right. You went. You did all that. How was it?
It was great. It was great, and it'll be 10 times bigger next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they do Austin this year?
No. The market of Austin politically doesn't want DreamHack in Austin.
Oh, interesting.
And in fact, they don't really want South by, but South by bought property in Austin.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's crazy, man. I feel like but do you feel like you found your little niche? You feel like you're in the right area? I feel like for a while there you were kind of struggling with what you wanted to do and what you were looking for, and you were maybe not struggling, but you were just like, I got all this shit in front of me and I don't know really what to do with it. But now it seems like you're kind of dialed in, you're learning things, you're understanding, hey, this is the services that I can provide, this is the value I bring, and you have the foresight at least that it's going to be a fucking new world here coming up shortly, you know? I mean, we're going into 2020, which is kind of crazy.
I do have some issues.
Well, we all know that, but I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I do have, like, an issue with advertising. I would say maybe it's more like advertising, in that I feel like a lot of people may know something is going on, but they don't come to me asking me to help them or pay, like, start to break bread. How are we going to make money doing this? Like, where's the money at? That's the thing is, like, if you're going to be doing, if someone's going to be doing a podcast, if they're going to be doing video, they have to have a product to sell. It's like, if I would definitely love to do a business deal with T-Mobile. If T-Mobile wanted to do a live video, John Ledger, is that right?
Yeah.
Comes to me and says, hey, I want to go live on, I want you to be the producer, but he's not going to go to me. He's going to go to one of those guys at NBC who don't know what they're fucking doing.
He's on Facebook every Sunday.
He's going to go to one of those guys that don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know about Facebook. Ask me about Facebook. You know what? Go to Mark Zuckerberg. Ask Mark Zuckerberg about Facebook. Whoever's in that circle, but they go to the guys that do NBC. That makes no fucking sense. It makes no sense. Those guys who do television there don't know shit about live streaming.
Okay, but John Ledger does live stream every Sunday.
No, what I'm saying is, yeah, he does that, but he's doing it with people that don't know what's going on.
Why do you say that?
Because why isn't he on every single platform?
Because he's probably got an agreement with Facebook. It's one of the most successful Facebook shows there is. Every Sunday, Slow Cooker Sunday. I mean, I don't know if he's doing it anymore because he's bouncing out, but you know.
Is he really? You think so?
May 1st.
For sure. He already did it.
Yeah, he's already announced it.
He's going to, I forgot, WeWork.
He was talking, no, I don't think he is. He was talking about taking over, but I don't know if he is.
So we don't know where he's going?
No, I don't. It hasn't been announced, but he is officially leaving May 1st.
So this is the reason I think why. Why? Is that he didn't go to one of those guys who knows whether they should or shouldn't do a brand deal with Facebook. He should have thought about it as, what is the biggest audience that I can get? Is isolating myself on one platform a good idea?
Mailman. The dog's favorite, I don't know, it's Budget.
No, it is. It's holidays.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they, as far as I know, he I don't know exactly the details to his partnership with Facebook, but
what I'm saying is like more of a critical thinking thing. Okay. It's not exactly what the money was there or not. I don't know. What I'm saying is
he definitely he put out a book, and Facebook's plastered all over the book because the book was John Ledger's Slow Cooker Sunday book, and it talks about all his episodes that he has on Facebook every Sunday when he does from his apartment building, and he's got fucking Manhattan in the background.
So someone, whether it was him or not, someone made a mistake. That's the thing.
Why?
Because Facebook wasn't ready. Is not ready as a platform for that, like, to deliver. They can't deliver on those videos. Really? Like if Portal was in the house, if you listen, what I'm saying is, if Portal was connected to all televisions, then it would be accessible for people to consume it like they do in NBC television.
I get that. Yeah, I get that.
So it went out to nobody.
Fucking several million viewers a week. I don't know. That's not nobody.
The views are robots. The views on these platforms. The platforms are down most of the time. Thanksgiving down. It's crashed down.
I would agree with you if I wasn't. And again, I'm only using the T-Mobile perspective because that's my world. I would agree with you, but every single day, someone comes in and talks about John Ledger's Facebook Sunday. So they're there. Yeah. The audience is there. Why he chose Facebook, I don't know. Why he decided to go with Facebook and not go, probably because it's the biggest social media platform in the world, which already in itself, if you're striking a deal with them, you're succeeding. Hey, I have a show every single Sunday on the biggest social media platform.
My only criticism is why do that, unless
because like you said, the new world, that's where everything's going. Everything is going to go to that.
You got to come with a whole lot of money,
which he has. He has a ridiculous amount of money.
But
and see, that's where, I mean, we don't know the details to that, right? We don't know if it was like a T-Mobile reaching out on behalf of John Ledger. We don't know if it was a John Ledger reaching out to Facebook reaching out to John Ledger. We don't know how that process went, so we can't really speak to that.
So but we
can say that he had a successful show on a streaming platform. It was probably, I mean, if you look at it, what other shows are on Facebook consistently? The Balls,
Gary V,
the
and
Balls.
It's on every platform. It's not just on Facebook.
Okay, let's look at Facebook specific.
But this is what I'm saying. Take Gary V for an example. He has a brand deal with Facebook, but it's not exclusive. Facebook is not an exclusive platform. Right. So I don't know how. That's why I'm questioning this whole situation with him, is that if Facebook's not an exclusive platform, why was he isolated just to Facebook? Unless, I don't know what talent agency or what agency covers John Ledger's talent portion, whether it's like creative artist agency or whatever that negotiated the deal. I'm just saying it wasn't a good deal. They're not, the agencies. Those agencies are Hollywood agencies. The internet is not Hollywood.
Oh man, yeah, I believe it is.
No, it's not.
Especially when you have, I mean, you're balls deep in like Logan Paul, KSI. That's all Hollywood. But that's all that is. There's an integration there somewhere.
When Logan Paul started,
YouTube studios, Facebook studios, a cap. They're all in Hollywood.
So when you become successful, the agencies start reaching you.
Right.
But the foundation of the internet, that's like 10%.
You and me being on Facebook right now is not going to get us into fucking Hollywood, obviously.
No, it could. But at the same point in time, it's not the foundation. With television, 100%. You cannot put out a television show without being in Hollywood. Right. So that's the difference. So where
you could be someone in Kentucky on Facebook making money, killing it, but maybe still disassociated from Hollywood.
Disassociated.
You're separate still.
I don't know shit about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's it. Like at the end of the day, it's.
So you're judging whether or not it was successful or not. Just correct me if I'm wrong, because he was still separated from Hollywood. There was still that separation.
I don't think he was. No, I don't think. No. I think Hollywood is not successful.
Oh, okay.
Because you want to be a part of the masses. You don't want to be a part of the small demographic.
Which is Hollywood?
At this time.
Challenging there too.
No, Bollywood is bigger than Hollywood right now.
In what way?
Number of producers, the number of directors, number of actors, just bigger.
But does that make it more successful?
Yeah. Yes. Numbers are what matters now. Not creative. If you want to get into creative and whether you use the right paint color or if it's designer.
What about money that they're pulling in? Hollywood.
No. So again, that goes to dollars.
Right.
The industry of Bollywood is bigger than Hollywood at this time.
Right. But dollar amount, maybe.
Dollar amount, yes.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
Not the individual. The individual person
isn't making more money than a Tom Cruise or whatever. But Bollywood, in like the idea of.
But they don't want to tell you that. They don't want to say that because they don't want to be the losers.
Hollywood doesn't want to.
Hollywood doesn't want to be the losers, so they put out fake articles on fake platforms.
You're being too conspiracy theorists.
No, this is facts. Because now what we have are fact checkers. Right. So one article looks at it and says this is nonsense, numbers, dollar amounts. Then we just this is why people there's an alt media now, is because they started realizing that the stories that people put out weren't accurate. This is the fight between Facebook, otherwise known as the FBI, and Google, otherwise known as CIA.
Oh, no.
If this is just where we're talking about networks and how people, if you look at the number of people
but
that are
invested in it. There is a
not
constant.
To say that there's not FBI in Google and there's not,
right, I get it. Yeah, I got it.
Bipartisan all over the place. But it depends what team you play for. And I just think maybe it's better to play for all teams as a free agent than it is to play for a singular team. Because you want the broadest audience that you possibly can get. You want to reach the most amount of people. You want your brand to be bigger than just Hollywood or just Bollywood. You want to be global, international.
But because of the way that and we're obviously talking media, the media world is set up, there's exclusion. There's exclusion to a big degree in the sense that,
Yeah, if the FBI and the CIA come together and don't like you, and they decide that they don't want you to be successful, then yeah.
Like, Jordan doesn't have Reebok and Nike deal. He has a Nike deal exclusively because Nike's willing to say, hey, we're going to pay you this much money to have a shoe deal for however fucking long.
Yeah.
And you're either going to take it or leave it because you're definitely not going to make shoes for us and Reebok. Reebok, we know, is only going to pay you this much.
No, agreed.
We'll double that.
No, agreed. But this is
that
why
will always be in place.
This is why someone like Kanye is successful, because he's like, who's Nike?
But he did shoes with Nike.
He did shoes with Nike, but unless
But now he's exclusively Adidas.
Nope.
How is he not?
Nope.
What's
His
he doing?
shoes are not Adidas.
What are they?
They are brand specific Yeezy.
Right.
They are on the
he go through
platform
Adidas from
of
that.
Adidas.
Okay, separate the two for me. Explain the difference. What's being on the platform?
The parts.
Right.
It's like the best example is owning a Ford and you have a Honda engine.
Yeah, but anybody could, if they really wanted to, probably get a Ford
not everyone could.
And put in
Not everyone can.
an engine, a different engine to it. What do you mean?
No, okay. I mean off the production line. Off the production line.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If the parts that Ford sources are a Honda engine.
But all that is, though, I mean, he could flip that switch and go, okay, I want to go start using Puma parts. He's still with a specific parts company. He's not going to Puma getting the laces, going to fucking Nike getting the soles. He's not doing that.
Oh, yeah.
He's sticking strictly with the one company that he's doing his thing with.
No.
He's not?
No, because Adidas doesn't put their labels on them, on the shoes.
That's fine, but we know that he's getting this shit from Adidas. That's not a secret. We know that Adidas is providing him with whatever.
But Nike and Adidas are getting their parts from the same place. So it's like their materials come from the same place. So Adidas is paying for the exposure.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not the
Being
other way
attached
around.
to the Yeezy's name. I get that.
You know
I
what
get
I mean?
that. But to the same degree, Adidas does have a hand in that. Adidas is saying, hey, Kanye, we're going to come to you and provide you the parts and provide you this.
Well, that's
they didn't go to him and say,
I don't know the ins and outs of that. That's like
But do you understand where there's still exclusivity there?
There's no exclusivity. He could go to Puma.
But then he's just going to use all Puma parts. Yeah,
he could use Adidas, Puma, unless they want. Unless the only way that they could stop him from doing that is if they sue him for using the brand. But he's not using the brand. He's using the parts.
I still think that there is. I think that there is. But I mean, that's, again, we don't know.
No, it's trademarks. The only regulation, the only thing that prevents someone from, I mean, I got a lot of brands here. So, I mean,
shout one out.
Not I. These are not I brands. But, I bought into these things.
Right.
So, I think that's what Kanye does. Is he buys into Adidas. I don't know, maybe they give him free things to make that.
They need to give him anything. Yeah, what they're giving him is the money. They're giving him a fucking dollar.
See, there's a big difference between cash and resources.
Right.
So if they're giving him 100x tennis shoelaces,
right?
Okay, then he might need to do an endorsement deal. But I don't know.
I don't think we're ever going to see a Yeezy commercial ever. An endorsement deal? An
endorsement deal for Adidas.
There's an agreement there, is my point. There's an agreement.
You look at the
there's an exclusive,
the stuff that they done.
There's an exclusive, like, hey, I'm Kanye, and I'm gonna go to Adidas, and I'm gonna work with you. I'm choosing, even if it all is all in Kanye's power.
I think this is the best example for me. But back to your example of LeBron James, for instance, he is at the mercy of Nike, but he's at the mercy of Nike because he's at the mercy of the NBA. And it's the same thing for fighters. You know what I mean? For UFC. Is the reason why they're at the mercy of Reebok is because UFC signed a deal with Reebok.
Right, and that was a big issue. But see, that even kind of highlights the issue, the exclusivity issue, I guess, doesn't it? Because now,
and I want to make a quick interlude here and say I really don't know shit. I'm just bullshitting.
No, we don't. Neither of us are fucking experts on anything.
I'm an idiot. Like, if I don't take what I have to say like as anything, I just need to.
Oh my god, you
make that clear.
It out. But I mean, I think we both understand how it works. We both at least understand the workings of a deal, right?
Yeah, I'm not making
any deals. And a deal is, hey, I want to be able to put this product out. Mm-hmm. Chances are you're not going to waste your money or your time going to 8 different sources. You're going to find the one source that works best for you, that is exclusive. You're going to sign that contract. You're going to get the X amount of money a year because you're deciding to do that. I mean, we see that with, what's a record deal? We were involved in that for so long. Record deals are one of the most shiestiest things you can get in because you're tied to that one company. They own the rights to all your music, all your songs. And if you ever wanted to go anywhere else, if you ever wanted to dabble in another industry, or not in another industry, but if you ever wanted to dabble with another company or another product, or maybe do something that this company that you're already associated with is against, there's consequences there. There's going to be things that you're going to be allowed to and not to do, to do and to not do. Like, there's not, so I don't think, back to the idea of this new world, right? And where we're going to be accessing things, and John Ledger being only on Facebook, and Gary Vee being on both Facebook and Instagram, even though they're the same company, right?
Well, no, my example were Facebook and YouTube. The same content going on both platforms.
Right. And even that's probably a Gary Vee power move. That's Gary Vee probably being able to say, hey, I want to be able to distribute.
I'm bigger than you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, at least in that one particular space. Not bigger than Facebook, but bigger in that one video place.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'd go to his own website and be bigger than Facebook. The whole video platform on Facebook.
Right. I don't know, man. It's fucking weird. It's weird. And you're ready to get involved in all that?
Well, I mean, from a small business standpoint, I'm not asking to do corporate videos unless they come with me and being like, if they come with.
But you said that
a good idea. Good idea. The money portion of the corporate part doesn't get me hard. It doesn't. It doesn't get me going. I don't know. You couldn't offer me enough to be signed to an exclusivity contract. Like,
what?
You couldn't offer me.
What do you mean?
No, because I want brand. I don't want fame. I want brand. So you can't sell fame. You can sell brand. So if Gary puts his initials on these shoes, that's
which
brand.
He did. That are K-Swiss exclusive. They ain't going on any other shoe. They're going on K-Swiss.
No. Tomorrow he want to do Reebok, he do Reebok. You know what I mean? It's not K-Swiss. He's looking to buy K-Swiss. That's the difference. He's going to buy the whole company.
Right.
Like that K-Swiss becomes Gary Vee.
Right.
Like it's a whole different thing. Whereas, like, I guess that's kind of.
So, from your perspective, when you say you're worried about the brand, not the fame, what does that mean?
It means.
Do you want to be someone that can work for YouTube, can work for Facebook, can work for all these companies as like a content creator, or are you more interested in creating content and just having it available to everybody and having it be like the brand of Trent Knox and be the Trent Knox Show?
No. I want
the silence.
I think that because it kind of hits that point where it's like people are going to have their own perspective. They're going to look at it. Whatever I say, they're going to look at it, and if it fall in that category, it fall in that category. So what I'm trying to say is that I haven't been approached with a real deal. So if someone came with me with the real deal, I'd have to really look at it, and be like, is this how exclusive is this?
Is that your goal though, to try to get a deal?
Because it's not 100% exclusive.
Are you trying to get a deal? Or are you trying to be? Are you trying to do a bunch of stuff?
There's no deal. That doesn't exist. You know what I mean? It doesn't. There's no category really to put it in. Like if someone came out and said, okay, we're signing a bunch of podcast producers.
Right.
That doesn't exist.
I mean, they do. Rooster Teeth. Yeah, it does. Rooster Teeth has a bunch of different podcasts. I mean, okay, yeah, they're not hiring producers.
The producer.
Okay,
the person who knows what they're doing versus the person who knows how to produce a radio show.
Right.
There's two different things.
Right.
Same kind of technology, but they're, so this is where I think that I'm finding myself kind of, the role isn't there to take. Like, if someone wanted me just to come in as an audio engineer, I'm not that.
Right.
I'm not an audio engineer. I don't know. I can move the buttons, but I'm not, I'm not writing dissertations about audio files or 32 float bit, this stuff. I'm not doing that. What I'm doing is new media, meaning, like, if there's some new feature that comes out on Facebook, I'm the first one to see how I can break it. You know what I mean? I'm a tester in that sense.
So with that, what are you hoping to get? What's 5-year goal? Are you hoping to get?
I guess I have
picked
signed,
up by a company.
I have signed one exclusivity contract. But it was contract based.
Yeah,
it wasn't
a lot of things.
A long deal. Like, it wasn't like 6 years exclusivity contract deal. 1 day. One day. You're laughing at that because I'm laughing at that, thinking like, I signed an exclusivity contract on this certain thing, and then it's an NDA for a day, and then the laughing portion of that is like, you got what you got paid is nothing.
No, I wasn't laughing at that.
No, I'm laughing at it. I'm thinking like, this is what they want to offer me.
I was laughing after we just got done talking about exclusivity. You're like, I signed an exclusive deal one time. I'm just like, okay, so
yeah, but when I'm laughing at it, I'm thinking like, I don't want to be signed to a prison deal or a slave contract where it's like, I get limited if someone comes to me and says, hey, do you want this extra amount of money? I heard you're getting this much. I will give you this much for this other deal, but you're not exclusive.
I don't know
you're
if that
not
exists.
limited.
I don't know if that exists.
It does.
At least into like today's business.
It does.
As a producer,
today's business. If you're under creative artist agency, or if you're signed to the BMI or something like that, then it's the network. So like, you can only perform with these certain artists. You can only go to these certain festivals.
You're in the network. You're
But I think that for me, I think that I'd like to perform with Atlantic artists and also perform with the competitor. I can't think of
RCA, could be
Sony,
Capital.
Yeah.
That's interesting, man. So I mean, you can do that. I think with your skills.
As a free agent,
I think and that's possible. Producers are free agents in a way. No,
well, I mean, at least in this category. But I know people who have been signed to Republic, Atlantic for music production.
Right.
For music beats, boom, 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 but for this, there doesn't. I mean, you could sign to Gary Vee. I mean, like, you could sign to VaynerMedia.
He just switched his people, didn't he? Didn't he switch up his?
No, not recently. Not really. I mean, he's gotten more, and D-Rock just moved to being a production director in certain aspects, just getting away from behind the camera to a little bit in front of the scenes, a little bit more like directorial, kind of telling people
how to do it,
what I've done, and we need more, kind of telling people like, oh, we need you this day or that day, and I feel like it's not, there's not that feeling of oppression, like I'm the boss in his setting. It's more of like, Team Gary Vee. Everybody's on the same team. You got to have a quarterback. You got to have a lineman. There's a first string. There's a second string, a third string. If you perform well, you end up on the first string. Like those. He's running the operation like that. That's from my perspective. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, if it's basketball, football. However, he's managing his system. And I don't know how it gets managed in your world by any means. Like, if you could relate it to something other than what it is. Like, I think that the corporate world or the business world, they have their own way of doing things, but Gary's not business. You know, he doesn't have that.
I get what you're saying. My brain's in a knot right now because I feel like that there's a lot of different topics that we've touched, and there's a lot of different ways, but business in general, I think, is just always going to be business. There's always going to be the potential to have exclusivity, have that contract where, hey, we're only going to work with our brand. You are only going to work with what we do.
Yeah,
with who
someone
we work
comes
with
to me, it's like
in our networks.
You know, bossing me,
right.
You know, like and telling me,
but
trying to pull my arm or something.
Isn't that where you kind of have to make that decision too? Like if you were in this situation where you were given the opportunity to maybe sign on with a record deal and do like a tour, or do like a
yeah. Or, I just have to watch people like Tekashi 6ix9ine, you know, and be like, God, when can you say "suck my dick"? And when can you, you know, when can you not say "suck my dick"? And then, you know, just be kind of cognizant of that, and then kiss ass when you're in a situation where you need to kiss ass. But I think that
or snitch on everybody.
Snitch on everybody. That's a weird place. Because it's perspective. No, it's perspective. Because if you may not say anything, but if someone feels like it's directed at them, then they get, you know, something up their ass or some shit. I don't know. Like I have no idea why anybody would be in any sort of perspective. Or have a perspective. Because I ain't shit, motherfucker. I ain't done shit. Like, I don't know, like, about you guys, but I'm not signing Nike deals. I'm not signing any deals. No one's come with me for any deal. Nobody.
You just got to talk about how
real deal. Real deal.
And real
like,
deal.
I mean, like...
Real deal in your eyes is
it means mainstream? That I can... No, it means that, like, I'm going to... Which means out of my pocket, I'm throwing money at you, and if that money comes back to me, I don't care.
You're willing to take a loss. That's a real deal.
No, it's not a. It means that I have money to lose.
Right, but you're not going to get that kind of money unless you sign a real deal, right? Where does that money come from? That's where I'm saying. Everybody has the ability to be on Spotify. I'm using that as a colloquialism, real deal, because I don't. You know, you don't have to see Nike that way. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. A real deal for you could just be something that brings the bread and butter that makes you happy. Like, hey, I got my real deal. I've got my salary every year. Yeah. It's happy. It doesn't have to necessarily be Nike. It could be Joe Schmo Shoe. But it's paying you enough.
But what could happen, and this is why I kind of against it, is that...
Against what?
Signing real deals.
Oh, okay.
Is because the haha moment when you sign the deal, and then it's like, haha, look at how much more you could have gotten on door 3.
Right, if you weren't, like, well-versed. I mean, but see, and that's where I think you're right in the sense that everything's going to go away from that, you know, only being on Facebook realm, where Gary Vee can just be all over the place.
I think it's just so disorganized.
Well, it's this. It's the internet. It's YouTube. Or not YouTube. No. I won't use
something
brands.
New is coming up.
But it's the internet.
Like
it's the
a volcano.
The ability to be on... Hey, as an artist, if you want to be on Spotify, Google Play, all these other different platforms, yeah, you could do that. And, you know, and we even saw failures in that. Look at Tidal. Tidal never blew up, right? Tidal wasn't anything that ever took off because it was the exclusive streaming service. You couldn't get certain albums and certain things anywhere else. And now look at that failed. Because Spotify and all these other companies that are open market, if that's what you want to call it, or, you know,
I think it
they
failed
don't have to...
That one point. The one point you're making, yeah, but I don't think it's 100% failed.
Not like no, but, you know, why is Tool all of a sudden on Spotify? Because they saw that, hey, you know, this exclusivity thing may not be the best. You know, we do have the ability to be on all platforms, to be in front of everybody if we want to, or we can just keep doing records and that's how you're going to get our music. But as the new world takes over, that's not going to work anymore. You know, when's records in 50 years may be non-existent. It may be like having a fucking Zonophone in your room, having a record player in 50 years, you know, because everything's just on the screen. Everything's a finger tap away. So there's the potential to not be exclusive. There is the potential to be your own character and your own company and your own boss and go wherever you want. But there's always going to be the potential for that one company to have that stronghold and go, hey, you're making that much over here, but look what you can be making over here, even if you don't get to see door option number 3. Door number 1 is already more than what you're making doing it yourself. door number 2 or you don't have any doors to play with, but if you come over here, you're going to be in a house that's got 3 doors, and our door number 1 is tons of shit more than what you're making doing it on yourself. But the kicker is, you can only work with us. There's always going to be that potential, I think. There's always going to be the potential to have the exclusive factor. Mm-hmm. It may not work for everybody, and I honestly think that it's probably better, like you're saying, to be your own fucking, to be able to go wherever you want freely, to not be tied down to that contract or that 1-year agreement where you're stuck working with whatever network they allow you to work with. Mm-hmm. But to the other side, there's success in exclusivity. There's success in only being tied to Nike. There's success in only being tied to one company, and it's, success is different. If the real deal dollar amount that you're making with Joe Schmo shoe that lets you go wherever you want is enough for you, cool. But then there are going to be the people that want that fucking Nike money. There are going to be the people that want that Adidas money and only want to go to those companies because they know that regardless of who they're in front of, they don't give a fuck about that. They just care about that fucking ching. They care about that check that gets written every single month, Yeah. And that's why the power is going to be there for the, you know what I'm saying? There's always going to be the potential to both. I don't think one's ever going to phase out the other.
Yeah, I think I'm contradicting myself a little bit here.
Why? Why do you say that?
And I understand contradiction means that I said that you want to be with the masses, you want to be in the largest audience that you possibly can be in, but I find myself sometimes going towards the smaller audience, like the Hollywood versus the independents. There's a larger group of independents
what we got out here
than there are Hollywood.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so somehow this
but what percentage of the independents are working to get into Hollywood?
The independents are acting like Hollywood. So there's a large group of people that say they're independent, but they're really Hollywood and just not getting paid.
By Hollywood.
Yeah.
Not getting paid by,
yeah. So I find myself I want to make a deal, but it has to be an equal deal.
Right.
Not the situation where there is no deal, meaning no contract, which I'm currently in. No contract, no paperwork whatsoever. Or the deal where you're subleasing, where you're under a contract that's under a contract, or be signed to the real contract. So that would be a real deal, where
I think you're taking the deal. I think anybody comes at you with the deal, you're taking it.
No, that's why I'm on a no contract deal.
Yeah. What if somebody came to you and was like,
T-Mobile.
So speaking of that, it doesn't even make sense. Nobody knows what to talk about it.
No, go on.
I was gonna say the contract in terms of like the cell phone contract, right? Like that's a good example
the equipment cost is a contract.
Yeah, true. Now, but that's only here in the States, and that's what I was gonna get to.
What do you mean?
Well, because if you go to let's say you go to Europe, you can go and just buy a phone from somewhere. You're not tied into buying it from a carrier.
Oh, I thought you meant like if you finance a device overseas, they can't hold you to it. Overseas.
No. I mean, some companies may have financing options as far as like manufacturers go, but if you wanted to, you can go to Europe, you can go to a Samsung
They're all
retailer.
Involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's, we're talking about contracts and whether or not they're necessary and in the transition.
I just want to point out the only device that I have locked to the network is the device that my parents give me.
What?
No, I'm just saying because I'm on my parents' T-Mobile deal. So I mean, like I am under a contract, but it's
you're clarifying your contracts in case someone's doing a social justice check on you.
Yeah.
Hey Trent, you said you weren't on a contract, but you are because you have a note.
It's the parents.
I get it. Okay.
So it's like, and that's because the deal that I had just directly with T-Mobile, I defaulted on.
No, you don't have to explain yourself.
No, I'm just saying, this is how things work. But I defaulted on it, cutting the cost down. So I broke a deal with T-Mobile to pay less for the devices that I got.
I mean, contracts are tricky in general if we're going into like, and we probably should have said, hey, let's talk about like exclusiveness and things like that. So we actually had something to fall back on.